Hi there. Welcome to How to Use the Tax Time Bookkeeping Spreadsheet. Um, this spreadsheet went live on my, or the post about this spreadsheet went live on my blog, yarnybookkeeper.com, February the 9th. And you can read more about it there. So, I'm Nancy Smith, aka the Yarny Bookkeeper. For those of you who don't know me, I'm just going to take a second here to let you know who I am and what I do. First of all, I am a yarn addict just like many of you. I do have a handmade business called Fanciful Things, and I sell my handmade items locally. Um, I haven't done the whole Etsy thing mainly because, well, I still have a full-time job, and I'm sort of just planning for my retirement at this point. I have been a small business owner for over 30 years. During that time, I have been a professional bookkeeper. I have an associate's degree in accounting. I am a QuickBooks trainer, which means I teach people how to use accounting software to run their business. I'm also a yarnpreneur, but I'm not a CPA. I will not do your taxes for you, and I will try not to give you a lot of tax-related advice. The difference between a bookkeeper and a CPA will actually do and prepare your tax returns, whereas a bookkeeper is the person who is responsible for inputting all the data that is used to complete that tax return. So there really is a very distinct difference between the two. So here we go. In order to use the bookkeeping spreadsheet, you're going to need all of your receipts. Okay, now hopefully you're not trying to do a year's worth of bookkeeping in one sitting. Some of you may, and that's okay. So here's some advice from the bookkeeping fairy. Get all of your receipts. Get your bank statements, your credit card statements, your sales reports. If you do craft fairs, get your craft fair sales reports. Get reports from different affiliate programs that you belong to. And once you have all of that information, you want to divide it up by month, okay? And go to the store, get yourself some of those little manila envelopes, or get yourself some file folders and divide everything up by month. Each month goes into its own file folder or own manila envelope, and once you have that data, I'm going to show you how to input it into this spreadsheet. Now, I will tell you, spreadsheets are really not my favorite thing for doing bookkeeping, only because you lose a lot of detail, okay? All of your detail is going to be in those envelopes. If you need to go back and look for something, you're going to have to go back to those envelopes and you're going to have to dig. Whereas if you use an accounting program like QuickBooks, all of that detail is right there in your accounting system, and instead of manually having to dig through envelopes, you can just go in and you can double click on reports and you can go right back to the originating transactions. Bookkeeping software is definitely easier in the long run, maybe not initially when setting it up. Bookkeeping software is also an investment, where Excel or Google Sheets is free, and I totally get that. But the devil is in the detail, whether we're doing our books or we're making handmade items. So what I did in this tax time bookkeeping spreadsheet was I divided it into categories. Okay, and the categories are going to be income, cost of goods sold, expenses and overhead, other income, and other tax-related information. So let's get started, and I will show you how this works. Now, just bear with me for a second because, I do want to talk about these categories. Now, income, we want to be really specific. This is the sales or revenue from your primary income streams. So if you're a maker, it's going to be perhaps Ravelry, maybe Etsy, maybe Craftsy, maybe your own website, perhaps even craft fairs. Okay. Um, any sales tax that is collected or charged should not be included in the income section. That's going to go down under other tax-related information. And affiliate or ad revenue income that you get from having ads on your website, that goes down in other income. When it comes to bookkeeping, you really want to focus on the money that you make from doing whatever it is you do. Whether you're a maker, whether you're a yarn dyer, a tech editor, pattern designer, you really want to focus in. Um, our main revenue sources are usually not money from affiliate programs or um, ad revenue, unless of course you're just offering free patterns on your blog. Now, when it comes to cost of goods, this section is really geared towards makers. Now, this is where you're going to enter the costs associated with the items that you've sold or the sales that you make. Now, some tech editors and pattern writers either use cost of goods to record the cost directly related to the service they provide or the patterns they create, while others skip cost of goods and just include the amounts in the expenses or overhead section. It's totally up to you. If you've been tracking project costs, then I'd recommend that you change and use cost of goods sold. If you haven't been tracking project costs directly, expense it for right now, but change your ways for the new tax years as it gives you a much more accurate picture. Expenses and overhead, just to give you a brief definition, that's all the money that you spend to keep your business up and running, even if you have no sales or income. And then other tax related info, we'll talk about that once we actually get into the spreadsheet. So here is the spreadsheet that I designed. And as you can see, I've put some samples of possible income streams that you might have already into the top. Feel free to change these, okay? If you need, and I've already put the formulas in as well. So if you need to add more rows, come down to row 11. Click on 11 over here in the corner, right click and choose copy, because you want to make sure that anything that's in here for formulas is copied when you actually insert these lines. Come down to row 12, right click and tell it paste. Okay, this will actually make sure all of those formulas get carried right along. Otherwise, you're going to end up with formulas that really aren't quite correct. So again, you can, it's right click on 11, choose copy, right click on 12, hit paste. Right click on 11, click copy, right click on 12, click paste. So one other line item that you want to put here, and I'll be sure to include it on the final spreadsheet, is, and we want to change the color of this, we want to add a category for sales or promotional discounts. And that's because we want to keep track of, you know, the amount of discounts that we've given in order to make this the money that we have. So let's keep going down. Whoops. Sorry, I messed that up. Okay. Now you can scroll down this spreadsheet, and this header along the top will stay right here, so you can stay on track. In cost of goods sold, you'll notice I put in an inventory purchased line. Now, as you're going through your receipts, you can tell by the receipt and what's on it how much was, you know, inventory that you purchased. This is just for your own information at this point. Okay, so just put those amounts in. Inventory used. Okay, this is again the maker section. So if you know how much you sold, you need to know how much inventory you used, and that's at cost. Okay, so this is part of that good old cost of goods sold. I also have Ravelry seller fees, Etsy transaction and direct checkout fees, Craftsy seller fees, craft fair fees, PayPal fees, patterns that you purchased if you're a maker, small tools and equipment. These are the things that you have to have in order to make the items that you sell. Any materials that you aren't tracking in inventory that you've bought, as well as shipping costs. And again, if you need more lines, absolutely add them in, delete out stuff you don't need. Now, in bookkeeping and accounting, your total gross income minus your cost of goods equals your adjusted gross income. And I've tried to make this mimic a report that you would get out of your accounting software. So next we have the expenses section. You know, advertising, bank credit card fees, business insurance, dues and subscriptions, Etsy listing fees, because let's face it, you have to pay Etsy to list the items that you sell, even if you aren't selling them. So even though you may kind of feel that this is cost of goods, it's really not. It's just an overhead expense because you're paying that fee to put your item up on Etsy, whether it sells or not. So then we've got memberships, we've got office supplies, professional fees, travel related expenses, shipping, packaging materials, And that's because, we have to buy shipping and packaging materials even if we don't sell anything. And again, plenty of room to add extra information. It will total up your expenses. Now, let's go back to accounting for a second. We take our adjusted gross income and we subtract out all of our expenses, okay? And then we come down into the other income section. This is where you would put in that affiliate or money that comes in. So you add this up, and then your adjusted gross income minus your expenses plus your other income gives you a total net income, okay? And this is going to be information that your CPA or tax professional will use. Now, other tax-related information, you're going to need to know how much money you put into your business out of your own pocket. You want to know how much money you took out of your business for personal use. You're going to want to keep track of the value of the assets you purchased. You're going to want to keep track of sales tax you've collected, and then sales tax that you've paid. And finally, you have, when you go to your tax professional to have them do your tax return, they're going to want to know what your 12/31 bank balance is. So let's kind of take a report, and we're going to do income, and we're going to translate this, and this is a Ravelry report, okay? And it shows you, by item, and this would be your patterns, how much you sold, how many units you sold, etc. Now, the first thing you want to do is you want to insert a couple of rows and you want to put in some formulas. So come down to row 18, right click, say insert, right click on 18, say insert again, and then we're going to make some totals. Okay, now the way you make Excel total something is you click into the cell where you want to see the total amount, and then you put in this formula, equals sum, parentheses, and then you come with your mouse and you choose the cells that you want to have added up. Okay, so in this case, we want to add everything in column B from row 2 to row 17. And then you hit enter, and there's your totals. Once you have that formula in place, if you come and you click on that cell with the formula in it and just drag it across. Okay. Oops, sorry. It may not be working really well because I'm recording this. There we go. So now you can see it's totaling everything up for as far as you dragged that formula. Now, these are your promotions or your discounts. And again, we kind of want to do the same thing. We want to put in a totals header, and then we want to come and we want to put that formula in. So this one is equals sum, parentheses, B20 through B28, hit enter, come back up, and drag that across. Okay. Now, if you're selling, whether you're selling patterns or finished items, okay, you're obviously going to have an item name. But if you offer a discount, if you're doing a discount on a specific item, when you do your promotion, name the promotion whatever the item is. You know, it would be like let's say item one was a, I don't know, a road trip scarf. Okay. Um, so when you wanted to run a promotion on that because you just needed to move that inventory. So when you created your promotion, you'd call it promotion road trip scarf. That way, as you're looking at things, you can see, where you're taking money away from yourself by offering things on sale, for lack of a better term. Okay. A lot of people do their promotions differently. So now we just want to come in and we're going to take and transfer these numbers over into the bookkeeping spreadsheet. And what I'm going to do is I'm going to make this a little smaller here so I can work with both of them. And we're going to slide this one over. Okay, so here we go. So I said this was Ravelry, and so in February we have $5 worth of sales, no sales discounts. March sales, we had a $2 sale, no discount. So here in April, we decided to run a promotion. So in April, we had sales of $30. Okay, and that would have been $30 worth of income. But we gave discounts of 11. Now, when you do your discounts, when you enter them into this spreadsheet, you want to put in the minus sign in front of it. Whoops, I don't know why I put in $100. So minus 11. Okay, and then you hit enter. So really, you can see here, it takes your discount amount and subtracts it from your sales. So you can see right off the bat, if you hadn't run a promotion, you would have had $30 in income. But you did run that promotion, you gave discounts of $11, and you can then look at what the remaining income that you had, and you can say, ooh, maybe I really shouldn't have run that promotion. I lost not quite 50% of my income. Okay, so and that's kind of, you would use this in two different ways. I mean, at the total overview level here in the text workbook, you can see that maybe I really shouldn't have done that, but it doesn't show you that detail, and that's where if you named those promotions whatever the item name was, you could in the report from Ravelry say, okay, I ran a promotion on whatever this item is, and I lost, I really shorted myself, $10, um, or whatever. Okay, so this is how you use, and you want to do this for each of your revenue streams. Okay, so I'm going to turn this back and make it big again. So now let's say, in January, as you're looking through those receipts, maybe you spent $50 on an inventory purchase. Obviously, you had nothing for inventory used. No Etsy or no Ravelry seller fees. Um, no PayPal fees. Let's say you bought $15 in patterns. Another, oh, let's say $25 in small tools and equipment. Maybe you invested in some new crochet hooks, or you had some knitting needles that broke. Um, so now you can see, oh wow, I'm really kind of in the hole. I had no income in January, but I spent $40. Okay. And that's just in cost of goods. Now, let's say you have a website and it costs you $3.95 a month to host your website. You can, you can enter that $3.95 in that cell, and then you can drag it all the way across to the December column, and here it's going to tell you, that's $47.40 throughout the year. So some things, this will automate. Dues and subscriptions. Let's say you belonged to, American Crochet Association, or well, actually, that would be a membership. So, American Crochet Association, Yarnpreneur Society, and you're getting monthly charges from that for membership. So, let's say we've got $29.95 on a monthly basis. We put that in this cell, drag it across, and you can start seeing where your money is going. Okay. Dues and subscriptions. Let's say you have a Canva subscription and you're paying $9.95 a month for Canva. Okay, here we go. Pretty soon, and you start looking at this. So now you've got these expenses on a monthly basis as well as for the year. And now you can see, where all of this is going from. It could really be a shocker. Let's say, you had, $14 in share sale commissions and $10 in Amazon commissions and maybe Google AdSense, if that's the right word for it. I always get so confused with all those Google things. Let's say you had $6.75 from there. Okay, here's your net income. And because you had to meet these expenses, you've got to put money in. So we've got $40 in cost of goods. we have $43.85 in overhead, and then we've got this little bit of income, okay, for $30.75, but we're still short $53.10. So you would have to put it, and say we put in $100 as an owner contribution so we could meet those expenses. And what I want to do here is I want to, and I didn't do this, sorry. I will make this part of the final spreadsheet. And once you have a formula over in the totals column, you can just drag it right on down and it will copy that formula for you. And we want to make sure that this is set to, and I will make sure. This is the problem of doing things, when you're sick, so I hope you all excuse me. Okay. So you would run through this procedure, go through those receipts that you have, pull out your expenses. You may need to sit with a calculator and add up totals for whatever, but update this and you will see where you ended up at the end of the year. Okay. Now, for anybody who waits until the last minute to do their bookkeeping, so let's say, here it is February, tax time is quickly approaching. We're just now sitting down to tackle our 2018 business information. You could be really surprised, that maybe you bought $3,000 or $4,000 worth of inventory, and you only made, say, $2,000 in sales. That's when you want to start analyzing this. Cost of goods. There's really not much you can do about reducing fees there, except for, maybe inventory purchased. Yeah, you could really be much more careful about what you're spending on inventory, what you're spending on patterns, what you're spending on small tools and equipment. Do you really need that stuff? Because I know if you're anything like me, it's really easy to get caught up in that heat of the moment and do an impulse buy, and then the stuff just sits there. The other thing that you can look at is, where is my overhead money coming from, or overhead expenses come. Obviously we need a website. So we can't get rid of that. Memberships, are we really using the things that we're paying membership fees for? Let's say you have that Canvas subscription and you never use it. Or maybe you only use it 4 or 5 times a year. Well, get rid of the paid subscription, go to the free. What are you spending on education? You can really analyze where your money is going, and just like with the home budget, you can say, I really need to, watch what the heck I spend. So the second tab is all about inventory. At the end of the year, you need to do a physical inventory. for any of you who file a Schedule C, um, it asks you the value of your inventory at the beginning of the year. Now, the inventory purchased, that's automatically going to come from this master spreadsheet over here in the cost of goods section, where I put the inventory purchased. Now, inventory purchased is those amounts are not included in your total cost of goods. Okay, because if you look at this, it's got cost of goods sold of $40, which is your pattern purchase and your small tools and equipment. Inventory purchased is just for your knowledge, and it provides you with this amount for your Schedule C. Okay, you want to deduct from inventory what you've taken out for personal use, and then you have to do that year-end inventory as to what you really have in stock. Now, this is a pretty cool little spreadsheet. If you know, whether you're a maker or a designer, you know, you're going to put in your yarn brand and name. So let's say we've got Karen Simply Soft. Colorway is Pagoda. Let's say we have 2 skeins. Yards per skein, let's say 329, just because I don't know better. That means you have a total yardage of 658 yards in inventory. Let's say you paid $249 a skein. It will automatically give you that total. And then the other piece that you really need to know is what the retail price per skein is. So let's say retail is $4.99 per skein. So retail value is $9.98, and your price per yard when you sell it, or it becomes part of cost of goods sold, is automatically calculated. Now, you know, some of us may use entire skeins, but let's say, you know, you used a skein and a half, and you have a half skein left. And that skein and a half, you're going to want to know how much to sell it for, and you always want to sell it at retail, not at what you paid for it, but what you would have to pay if you went out and needed to replace it. Okay, so you always want to sell at retail, and you know, hopefully you're getting out there and you know, either with wholesale accounts or you know, watching the sales. So if we follow this total paid column all the way down to the bottom, you're going to have your ending inventory amount, and that amount gets automatically transferred up here, okay, to the inventory value at the end of the year. And you know, doing a year-end physical inventory is totally mandatory, especially for us makers. And I did put some notes over here on the side that will help you to complete this inventory spreadsheet. So this is the down and dirty, get your 2018 tax information put together. Don't just stop here. Really evaluate this. Look at where you can save money. Look at where you're making the most money. You know, let's say, you know, you spend, you know, $1,000 throughout the year on Etsy listing fees, but you're only making $500 on Etsy sales. You know, you may want to evaluate, is Etsy really worth it for me? Um, where could I best be focusing my marketing attention on? So there you have it. This is the workbook, the Tax Time Bookkeeping Spreadsheet. I hope you've enjoyed this video. I'd like to invite you to join our Facebook community where you can interact with other handmade creative business owners just like you. And here is the link to that Facebook group. So thank you very much for joining me. I hope this video was helpful. I hope you enjoy the bookkeeping worksheet, and really think about changing your ways for the new year. Your bookkeeping could take you anywhere from, oh, I don't know, 20 to 45 minutes a week, and you're going to be able to see on an ongoing basis just what's going on with your business, instead of being like, oh my God, I can't believe I spent $3,000 on yarn that's just sitting upstairs. You want to get rid of those big surprises. So thank you very much. Have a great day. I hope to see you in the Facebook group. And sorry I sounded a little wonky. I just really have not been feeling well. Thanks. Bye.